All right. Welcome everyone to QB Power Hour. Today is September 21st, 2017. And today's episode is QuickBooks Enterprise Advanced Inventory and Sales Order, Enhanced Sales Order Fulfillment that is new to 2018. The agenda for today will briefly talk about QB Power Hour and the host. We'll talk about the CPE process, and the learning objectives are to understand how the advanced inventory features enhance the workflow for inventory heavy businesses. And then we're going to learn some of the new inventory related features for QuickBooks Enterprise 2018. QB Power Hour is a webinar series, typically twice a month or every other week. Next episode will be October 5th, and the topic will be hidden features or lesson known tips and tricks in QuickBooks Online, and it will be an ACE course. This one in particular that you're attending at the moment is not considered ACE, but the one for October 5th will. We typically cover tips and tricks and advanced insights on about 50% QuickBooks Desktop, 50% QuickBooks Online. Today it's 100% QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Enterprise, and from time to time we'll have a special guest, third-party app, or a practice management solution that is relevant to the accounting industry. Michelle Long is not with us today at the moment. She's actually teaching the accounting VCon, the live accounting VCon. So this webinar actually conflicts with Michelle's accounting VCon. So the folks that are not here today are probably in her virtual conference. My name is Hector Garcia. I am a CPA, live and work in the Miami area, teach QuickBooks in my own classroom, and there's my email, hector@garciacpa.com. I am usually pretty good at answering general QuickBooks questions through it. So, write that down, take a picture of it, have me as a resource handy for you. Now, some of the other upcoming events that we recommend is the Intuit VCon. So if you want to get certified in QuickBooks Online, or you want to learn some practice management tips such as value pricing and that sort of thing, make sure you attend it. It's free, quickbooksvcon.com. Another conference that I'm planning to attend that I'm recommending heavily is the Art of Value conference, all about adding value and pricing your services based on value. It's going to be in Allen, Texas, November 8th and 9th. Check them out, artofvalue.com/events. Now, the largest conference of the year related to QuickBooks is QuickBooks Connect. That's going to be in San Jose, California, November 15th to 17th. Check that out at quickbooksconnect.com. And next year, in June, we'll have Scaling New Heights in Atlanta, Georgia. Go to woodardevents.com for that. Now, about the CPE process, if you are a CPA or a certified bookkeeper or someone that needs CPEs, you must attend the webinar live. It's not available for watched recordings. You must be logged in for at least 50 minutes, and we'll ask a total of 4 polling questions, or at least 4 polling questions, and we only need you to answer 3 to get your CPE. So if you miss one, not a big deal. And give us 2 to 3 weeks to get your CPE certificate emailed to you. This episode is not available for ACE. That's only for Advanced QuickBooks Pro Advisor. So if you're not an Advanced QuickBooks Pro Advisor, you're not too worried about that. But the next one is October 5th one will be available for ACE. Now, the other thing I'd like for you to take the approach on, if what you're trying to do is deep dive into QuickBooks Enterprise, and this is the year where you're going to start doing heavy QuickBooks Enterprise consulting, or you're going to implement QuickBooks Enterprise in your practice, or you're looking into upgrading your current QuickBooks into QuickBooks Enterprise this year, I recommend look at this as a series. We have 5 other videos that we have created that will help you enhance your knowledge, specifically when it comes to QuickBooks Enterprise, and also comparing QuickBooks Pro Premier to QuickBooks Enterprise. These 5 videos that you see on the screen, take a picture of that, or you can also see it on the slides after you download them. You'll be able to watch these videos and kind of complement it with this webinar that you're watching live. Okay, I clicked on that by mistake. Okay, so about QuickBooks in general, Intuit has a whole slew of options when it comes to purchasing quote-unquote QuickBooks. On the online world, there are 4 flavors: Plus, Essential, Simple Start, and Self-Employed. And then on the desktop world, there's essentially 7 flavors. There's 4 versions of QuickBooks Enterprise and 3 versions of QuickBooks Desktop. In this specific webinar, we're 100% laser focused on QuickBooks Enterprise Accountant and QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum. Every single thing we're going to show in this webinar only works in QuickBooks Enterprise Accountant and QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum. And also, as a reminder, if you are going to purchase or upgrade to QuickBooks Enterprise, they're going to give you 4 options: Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Accountant. And basically the difference is advanced inventory, advanced pricing, it's only available in Platinum and Accountant. And payroll, like built-in payroll subscription, it's only available in Gold or Platinum. Now, the Accountant edition gives you additional Accountant unique features. You may want to refer to some of the videos we discussed on the earlier slide to go over those. Now, a quick recap of the new features for 2018. Now, we're not going to cover any of the first ones. We're just going to cover the last 2. The new QuickBooks 2018 brings multi-monitor support, a pass-through stamp on invoices that can be turned off or on, search in the chart of accounts, quick toggle between cash and accrual, a keyboard shortcut for copy and pasting lines inside transactions, additional columns on the inventory valuation and stock status report, finally secure email support for Gmail and Hotmail users, the ability to stay logged in so you don't have to put your password each time you go back into the company for up to 90 days, and a new payroll liability flag that lets the user know that there's an upcoming scheduled payroll liability. Now, on QuickBooks Desktop Accountant and Enterprise Accountant, they added the Merge Vendors feature that allows you to merge up to 4 vendors with a single click. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in QuickBooks Enterprise Accountant and QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum editions, we have a new enhanced sales order fulfillment that allows you to interact with an Android app on an Android device, and also mobile inventory scanner support if you have a scanner built into the Android app. And there's currently 1 device that works with that, so we'll discuss that. Now, another recap of all the advanced features that have been added to QuickBooks Enterprise until last year. So this is a recap ever since QuickBooks Advanced Inventory or the advanced features, which are now called Platinum in the Platinum subscription. These are all the things that were added in the past 7 years or so. So multiple inventory site location tracking, which we'll go over. FIFO inventory valuation, which we won't do a demo of that because it's just the way it calculates inventory. Support for a USB barcode, and a USB barcode scanner can be physically plugged into a computer with QuickBooks, or it could be Bluetooth, but you still have to plug in the dongle to one of the QuickBooks machines. Also, support for serial and lot number tracking. We're going to do a demo of inventory process with lot number tracking. Bin location tracking, which is basically a sub-location inside of your inventory location. Volume pricing for items on sales transactions, so you can actually set a price for a product based on volume. Advanced pricing rules, so you can use multiple conditions such as date, for promotions, classes, items, customers. You can actually combine them to create a specific price on the product or a specific price table based on multiple conditions. And finally, advanced reporting, which was introduced a couple of years ago. Okay, so let's jump into the big feature that was added in 2018, which is enhanced sales order fulfillment. As a matter of fact, let me do a quick polling question. I'll try to do a polling question every, let's say every 10 minutes or so, because we need to have at least 4 polling questions. So please answer this polling question first. It will only take about a minute, and then we'll jump right into the content. Okay, so meanwhile you answer that, you asked that, there's a question here from Meredith. She says the gold and the platinum subscriptions of Enterprise mentions up to 3 EINs. Is this referring to just QuickBooks Desktop Payroll, or is there a limitation on only running 3 companies on QuickBooks? Yes. What? Okay. So Meredith, to clarify, the gold and platinum subscriptions of QuickBooks Enterprise comes, part of the price comes with a QuickBooks Enhanced Desktop Payroll that allows you to add up to 3 companies into the payroll, allows you to run payroll up to 3 companies. But you can have unlimited companies on QuickBooks Desktop. You may on QuickBooks Desktop Payroll, you may just have to pay for additional payroll subscription. So that's what it comes with. Okay, and yes, the Platinum comes with enhanced payroll as just like the Gold, but the Accountant doesn't come with the enhanced payroll. Okay, somebody was asking, was that list good for all versions of QuickBooks Desktop 2018? Yes, with the exception of what we're about to show you. All those features in that list is going to be for all versions of 2018. Now, can you use a barcode scanning in non-enterprise editions of QuickBooks? The answer is no. Only QuickBooks Enterprise can do barcode scanning. Okay, perfect. So let me go ahead and stop the polling question. Thank you for answering that. And I'll share the results because I know some folks are a little bit curious about that. So 42% of the people in this group are using QuickBooks Desktop Accountant Edition. 8% are using QuickBooks Enterprise. 31% are using QuickBooks Online. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for answering that. All right, so let's jump right in. So let me start with a couple of slides and can explain the process through, because the handouts, if you download the handouts, those slides are there. So I'd like for you to use those handouts as reference later on. This is the first time this type of solution has been ever published in QuickBooks. Mobile scanning support or mobile app support. It's actually a huge, big deal. So I'm going to go a little bit slow. And also talk about not just what it can do, but talk about some of the potential that I see in the future, because this is the very first release. So the very first thing that you're going to notice is you're going to see a facelift or an update on how the customer sales order fulfillment worksheet looks. So the old version looked a little bit different. The reason why there's a change in the look is because they also integrated some of the other advanced inventory features, such as multiple warehouse management. Because a typical use case is we have a business that has inventory in maybe 2 warehouses, and the headquarters maybe doesn't even have inventory, and QuickBooks is only at the headquarters, or let's call it the back office. And then somebody from the headquarters needs to instruct warehouse A or warehouse B to pick products so they can ship it to the customer. In some cases, certain orders get fulfilled even from multiple warehouses. You get like half the order gets sent from warehouse A and half the order gets sent from warehouse B. So what this screen tries to do is it tries to help the back office decide or organize, which of the items is going to be fulfilled or shipped from each location. And even if you don't have multiple locations, you still get to pick and choose which items within a sales order are ready to be fulfilled. But let me tell you what the big problem was before this came afloat. The big problem before this feature is that for anyone to fulfill an order or to ship an order, normally you would, the standard process is somebody goes into QuickBooks, prints out the sales order or prints out a pick list from the sales order, physically gives it to the warehouse person. The warehouse person grabs it, goes physically to the warehouse, picks the product, stages it in some corner, puts notes on the paper, and then goes back to the back office and gives them the pick list and say, this is picked and ready to go. Now that's case A. Case B, the picker grabs the product, picks it, ships it, and that same customer has access to QuickBooks, goes into QuickBooks and converts a sales order to an invoice. Now, the big problem with this is that you're giving your warehouse personnel access to invoices, and that's typically a big issue. And this has been possibly one of the most common feedback or problems that us, the QuickBooks heavy people, have given the inventory heavy people, consultants like myself, have given to Intuit, saying, hey, this is a big issue, it's a big control problem. So what this solution is attempting to do, it's giving the picker or the warehouse people the ability to do as much as possible in terms of giving good information to the back office that something is ready to be shipped without them going into QuickBooks and converting the sales order into an invoice. So I hope that explanation was clear. I know it's a little bit jumbled because there's a lot of moving parts. Then the secondary screen, once you pick the sales order that you want to schedule to be or you want to send to be picked, you actually get to pick which specific products within the sales order you want to pick, because there are cases in which we get an order but the customer tells us ship half of it on Friday and ship the other half on Tuesday of next week, or ship as many as you have now, and then once you get some more, ship the balance. So those are typical use case in which we may not necessarily want to pick the whole order. Maybe we want to pick only partial order. So in this screen, you get to choose which of the items you want to send to be picked, and you can also change how many you're ordering your picker to pick. And from this screen, you can pick the warehouse location, and you can also pick the bin number. So now we see all of the advanced inventory features being available in this one screen. Then what the next screen looks like is once you pick which sales order you want to send to be picked, you can actually send it to different pickers. So you can actually have 2-3 different warehouse people that you choose one of them to pick. Now, in some cases, I'm testing this with a client. They have 3 warehouse people, but they just have one picker name because they don't really care who picks it as long as someone picks it. But you can actually choose which is the picker that's going to send it. And based on the picker, the person that has the Android device that's going to then confirm the picking, then they know they're maybe the ones that are assigned to do this or not. Now, what's also cool about this is you can add notes, messaging to the picker. That way you don't have to physically go to the warehouse and say, hey, Hector, go pick this and make sure you put it in a brown box, or make sure you put them in separate boxes. You no longer have to do this manual process. You can add those notes into the pick list creation sheet. Then once the order is picked, and I'll show you a demonstration of that, the sales order gets updated and gets a new flag. So whoever in the back office is looking at all the open sales orders can open them and see, okay, this one has been sent to pick, this one has been partially picked, or maybe this one hasn't been picked because of note A, B, C, whatever the picker sent on the note. So we'll show you a demonstration of that. And then this is what it looks like on the user of the Android device. You can either have a regular Android device, just a regular Android phone, let's say, and that's usually a couple of $100. Yeah, that's very inexpensive, but it doesn't have a barcode. Or you can buy a particular barcode scanner that uses an Android device that's compatible with this whole thing, which is called the MC40. So it's the Motorola or Zebra, because they're made by both companies, or Zebra MC40. And that piece of equipment, it's between $1,000 and $1,300. If you actually Google Motorola MC40 or Zebra MC40, either one, you're gonna see all sorts of prices between $1,000 and $1,200. And it's kind of pricey if you want the barcode scanning. Again, if you don't need the barcode scanning, any Android device will work. Now, right now, it's not 100% clear on whether I'm a reseller, or whether resellers will sell the hardware itself. For the time being, we're sending customers to buy it on their own. And there's something that's really important. The current mobile app, it's only for picking. Receiving or inventory adjustments or cycle counts, it's something that, in theory, technology-wise, it could be capable of doing, but it's not available, at least yet. And that's something just to be looking after. If Intuit adds upgrades to this and they do receiving and cycle counts with a mobile device, that would make the feature much more complete. Now, this is an area of high confusion because I have a few customers that I'm starting to migrate to this system. There is a traditional USB barcode scanning support, and we're talking about a regular barcode scanner that plugs into the computer with USB. That has been available since 2013, that type of support. However, in order to use a USB barcode scanner, which you can use for creating invoices, which in theory you could use to fulfill your sales orders, the problem with that is it doesn't verify or tell you whether or not the item was on the original sales order. So there's no control mechanism, and that's really the purpose of the barcode scanner. And the other issue is it needs to be tethered, it needs to be physically plugged to a computer with QuickBooks, which means you need to have QuickBooks in the local area network or maybe remote access QuickBooks in that warehouse. And if you're working with multiple warehouses, that may not be the case. You may have a warehouse that has no QuickBooks whatsoever. So what the mobile scanning support that does it much different is that it's 100% internet based or Wi-Fi based. As long as there's Wi-Fi or internet access, assuming that your phone also has a cellular connection, but as long as it's got Wi-Fi, it actually sends the information through the internet, through Intuit servers, back into your QuickBooks. So it's 100% web-based from the perspective of communication. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not available for creating sales, item receipts, or cycle counts. That would be pretty great. So we want to make sure we compare the two, but you are going to need both. So you're going to need a USB barcode scanner, which you're going to use mostly for setting up your items, and in some cases for actual receiving. Okay, those are the two cases where the physical barcode scanner still works a little bit better. But then for picking or fulfillment, you're going to use the wireless scanner. Okay, so let me take a quick break with a polling question. And I'm going to get the mobile device ready and the webcam ready so we can actually show you how this works. So let me just run a quick polling question if you don't mind. I'd like to know whether or not you are currently a QuickBooks Enterprise reseller, because obviously you will be looking at this with a different perspective. But if you don't mind, just answer whether or not you are a reseller. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. Let's see. So all enterprise editions, how many EIN companies can you have for one subscription? So there's no limitation on how many companies you can manage through QuickBooks Enterprise. The slide that said 3 EINs was specific to the built-in payroll subscription. Okay, let's see. If a client has QuickBooks Enterprise Gold, what if they want to have 5 clients or 4 clients with payroll? So you would have to purchase an additional subscription of QuickBooks Payroll, which is, I believe, $39 a month plus $2 per employee. Does QuickBooks Online support barcode scanning? No. Let's see what else we have. With the new wireless scanning feature, does it make sense to implement barcoding? So I would say yes, you actually have to implement barcoding. You have to use both wireless scanning and barcoding. You have to use both. With the Wi-Fi based scanner, if QuickBooks works in a hosted server, will this work? The answer is yes. Yes, because it's going to be on the internet. How does someone become an authorized reseller? Okay, I'm not going to answer that. Let's see. Does Enterprise do 100% percentage of completion and completing contracts? So that's definitely not related to today's webinar, but the answer is yes. QuickBooks Enterprise can do that. Refer to my YouTube channel for that. There's actually a video that explains that. Would this work on Right Networks if it's a cloud-based QuickBooks Enterprise hosted? The answer is yes. Are there any apps that work with barcode scanning with QuickBooks Online? That's not related to this webinar, so I'm not going to answer that. That could be a really long conversation. How do you get barcode labels into incoming goods? So Linda, you would have to come up with a number, a barcode number, an internal barcode number, and print them, and QuickBooks can actually do that. Okay, so let me close the polling question, and we're about halfway through, and then we're going to now do the demo portion. So we're going to demonstrate these in order: multiple inventory site locations, bin locations, lot number, USB barcode, and the new wireless barcode scanning. And the reason why I have to explain all is because they all integrate and work together. They're all part of the advanced inventory feature. So I want to make sure that we're 100% in the clear on how all these functions work. So let's start by clicking on the edit menu and clicking on preferences. And then we're going to click on inventory and items. And then we're going to click on company preferences. Now there's a little button here that says advanced inventory settings. When I click on that, you're going to see 5 tabs: multiple inventory locations, serial and lot number, FIFO, barcodes, and site operation. Okay, so we'll start with multiple inventory location, and you have to have multiple inventory location turned on, and you can optionally, you don't have to, have bin location tracking turned on. So bin location tracking is a sub location of your inventory site. So if you only have one inventory location, one warehouse, and you do want to track bins inside your warehouse, you have to turn on multiple inventory locations, and you have to select the default location each time for this to work. Now, serial or lot numbers, we actually don't have a choice of both. So you can either enable serial or lot numbers, and you can actually tell it what type of items or what type of transactions will require for you to enter a serial or lot number. Then FIFO is just a single toggle. It just recalculates the way your inventory reports show the inventory asset. Barcodes is a simple turn off and on. The barcode wizard, which is right here, basically what it does is it allows you to copy data that possibly is in a custom field somewhere, allows you to copy it over as a barcode, assuming you already have barcodes. Before turning this feature on, you had the barcodes loaded in a custom field somewhere. You can also tell it to automatically create random barcodes to products you already have. So that's really, really useful if your products currently don't have a barcode label on them. And that's, some people deal with product from China or whatever, and they don't come with barcodes. So by turning this feature on, QuickBooks will create a barcode for every single product that is in QuickBooks, a random barcode. And you have to go in there and put the real barcode if they happen to have a barcode. And site operation, this is the new thing here. This site operation is the new sales order fulfillment worksheet that we were talking about. Now, you can add unlimited, or at least I haven't gotten to the limit of Android devices that you can connect with this system. Now, the way you connect an Android device, and let me turn on my webcam real quick so you can see, and then for a little bit, I'll just ask you to kind of focus on the webcam itself, because you're going to get a little bit better information. So this is what the unit looks like. This is basically an MC40. I don't know if I get better lighting here. So this is an MC40. This is actually a device that has a built-in barcode in there. So this particular one is the one that I mentioned. It's about $1,200, or between $1,000 and $1,300, but you don't have to have the built-in barcode. You can just use a regular Android device, and I'm going to show you the process on how it works with either or. So I'm going to close my webcam real quick just so I can go back into the screen. So in here, the way you add this device is actually a pretty simple process. You click on add, and then it's going to give you a passcode. When you first install your the software in your Android device, it's going to ask you to add a passcode. You simply just put the passcode inside of the Android device, and this is how Intuit will pair your Android device to QuickBooks. So once it is paired, it will give you the device ID, and basically that's just an internal number that's in your device, and it tells you the device name. So this is where you can add all the Android devices, whether it has barcode or not, in here, and that's what you're going to use for the sync. So let me go ahead and hit OK and OK. All right, perfect. So now that we are that we have all the features enabled, we're going to do a couple of examples. So let me create a sales order first, and this is kind of the starting. As a matter of fact, let me go back one. Let me receive inventory first. So I'm going to go to vendors, create purchase order, select one of my vendors here, whatever it happens to be. And I can either, let's assume I have barcodes in my desk, whoever is it that creates the purchase orders. I can either go to item and use my barcode scanner, and let me turn on the webcam again, because that's going to make a lot more sense. Okay, there's my webcam. So we can either use a regular barcode scanner, and this is a USB barcode scanner. This one happens to be a wired barcode scanner. You can also get this in Bluetooth, but you still have to plug a little bundle via USB, a dongle, and you have to be within 20 feet of the computer or so. So I just use the wired one because I'm never really, it's not functional if I'm not sitting and staring at QuickBooks while I'm working with this, because you have to interact with QuickBooks in a computer or a laptop in order for this to work, which is much different than the wireless barcode scanning support with the Android device, which we'll cover in a little bit. So You can take your Android, you can take your you can take your barcode scanning, and you can just scan the product, and QuickBooks will recognize it. Let's do it here. QuickBooks will recognize it and bring it in there. And I can scan it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and every single time I scan it, the quantity will go up. Every time I scan it. Now, it is not typical that we do scanning at the purchase order level. I'm just showing you so you kind of see what the process looks like. So that's actually not typical. And also, it's not typical that we pick where we receive the product to, or the bin location. That actually happens at the receiving end. So let me go ahead and close that, and then I'm going to receive the inventory, and I'll select the vendor. Okay, so where are we? And I'm going to hit yes. I'm going to pick a purchase order. So there's a little checkbox here you want to pay close attention to that says I'm scanning items. So if you actually, what you want to do is you don't want QuickBooks to automatically download all the quantities. You want to click on I'm scanning items, because once you do that, then what you do is you scan, okay? And every time you scan, whoops, just clear here for a second. Let me go back to, I had my cursor in the wrong place. Okay, hit yes again. Okay, because when you click I'm scanning the product, you actually have to scan it for the quantity received to go up. So you have to scan 1, 2, 3, 4 times, whatever it happens to be. So as you scan, right, a couple times, QuickBooks will then increase the quantity received. And that's basically how the built-in scanner works, the one that's plugged via USB. This is still not the wireless scanner. This is the one via USB. And then once you receive, you tell it, you know, which warehouse you're going to receive to. You're going to tell it which bin number you're going to put it in. So if you already have existing bin numbers that use that product, you can put it on that bin number. Or if you want to put it in a new bin number, let's say, for example, that there's a empty box called A3 and I want to put it in the bin number, I can do that. And then I can also put in a lot number. So if I'm tracking lot numbers, I can manually put a lot number, so I can just type it in there. Or you can use the same barcode scanner to scan the lot number, assuming that there's a lot number barcode in the box. So you can add the lot number in there, and then you're going to recall that lot number later on when you sell it. So let me go ahead and hit save and close. And that's kind of like how the process works. We create a purchase order, we receive it, we tell it what warehouse it goes to, we tell it what bin location, and we also assign a lot number. So that's all the advanced inventory features in a nutshell. So now let's go to creating a sales order. And we're going to start talking about the new enhanced sales order fulfillment. But I wanted to preamble that with some of the background so you understand exactly how we get here. So I'm going to pick a customer, whatever customer from my list, and I'm going to pick the products that I want to sell them. So let's say I want to sell them this product. I want to sell them this product, and okay, I don't have any of these. Let me pick another one, and this product. Okay, so I'm going to sell these two to my customer. This customer wants 10 of these and 5 of these. Now, really important, QuickBooks, and this is not exclusive to QuickBooks Enterprise, but QuickBooks will tell you if you don't have enough. As a matter of fact, you can click on the inventory availability button right there, and it tells you exactly which warehouse has and how many. So at that point, I can tell my customer, you know, hey, I can only sell you 2, or maybe I will order some more just for you, whatever happens to be. I'm just going to select 2 to simplify the process. At this point, I can choose what warehouse I want to sell it from. Okay, so I can actually choose what warehouse I want to sell it from. So in this case, I want to sell them both from the Miami warehouse, and I also get to pick what bin location I'm going to grab them from, and this drop down would actually tell you where the products are. So in this particular case, this chocolate is actually not on the Miami warehouse, it's in the West Palm location. So I have to pick my warehouse Palm location and then pick the bin that I'm going to select it from. So notice that I actually have one product in each bin. So I have to select the lot number and then come in here on a second line and do the same thing. Okay, so I mean, this is a really awesome example because it shows you the control process of making sure that you're selling them from the right warehouse location, from the right bin location, and from the right lot number. So that allows you to pick based on each one. Now we're making the assumption that your inventory is accurate, that the warehouse locations have the correct bins in them, that the locations are all correct. But this gives you a good idea on how all these control mechanisms work and how it forces you to pick the right warehouse, the right bin location, the right quantity, all of that stuff right at the sales order process. So assuming this is all accurate and we're pretty much completed with this, I'm gonna hit save and close. So let's talk about the enhanced sales order fulfillment. So I'm gonna go to customers, sales order fulfillment worksheet, and this is basically what the new screen looks like. Now the new screen will show me all of my sales orders in there. I can sort them, or I can search and filter. So if I want to just look at one in particular, I can search it in here and it will filter to just that. So there's an awesome search filter that allows me to filter by sales order or by customer. And then I can pick which of these I want to fulfill. Now, all of these are showing fulfillable, right? Because they are all available to be fulfilled. If I change the warehouse location in some of these, these may jump to not fulfillable if they're not in stock. So notice that if I change the warehouse locations in any of these orders, the fulfillable may change to no, and that's all whether or not those products are available in each location. So let's say, for example, I want to fulfill this order, the one that I just created. So I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to click on next. Then the next screen, which I showed on the slides, will show you all of the items or all of the product that is scheduled to be fulfilled. It tells you exactly how many were ordered, how many are available, how many are available to be fulfilled, which warehouse this is going to be picked from, and the bin locations for each. So typically, if I'm going to pick it from two warehouses, I would do two separate picks. So for example, I'm going to pick just this product from the West Palm Beach warehouse and then click on next. And then I'm going to assign my picker, Hector Garcia, and say ship ASAP or whatever, right? And then I'm going to click save it, create and send. And that's going to send through the internet to that Android app, letting that picker, Hector, know that they have to pick those two items from that sales order. And let's say, for example, I want to go back and do the other ones. And notice that the first two were already sent for pick. So that lets me know that those two are already being processed. So now I can send the remaining product for picking, and that's going to be at a different location. So I'm going to click on next. And I'm going to select, in this case, a different picker. Let's say this person works in a different location. And I can say also ship ASAP. Put a label that says package 1 of 2, right? Something, whatever, right? So I'm giving instructions for them to add labels or add notes or write in the mark or write on the box or use a big box, use a small box, whatever. You send the instructions to the picker on what they want to do with that product once it's being picked. Is it being staged, is it being shipped, whatever. And then I click on create and send. So now I have taken one sales order and I have sent it to be picked. When I click on the next tab here, pick list, I'm going to see all of my orders and their statuses. Okay, and I can sort these by inventory location. So I can take a look at what's pending in my Miami warehouse and notice that there's all the statuses here. What has been picked, what has been completed, what has been sent to be picked. I can also pick by status. So I can just put send for pick or pick in progress, whatever the status may be. I can filter them. I can also sort it by picker. So I want to see all the things that Hector has been assigned and has completed, and all the things that Steve has been assigned and has been completed. It's actually a pretty awesome process. And this is from the back office QuickBooks side. This is me to monitor what's going on with my picking. Now let's switch over to the Android device. So I want you to kind of pay attention to the webcam, to my screen there, and I want to show you what that looks like. So here's my device. Let me turn it on. This is an Android device, and I don't know if you can see. Okay, I think that you can see pretty good. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like when you first log in. So when the first users log in, it's going to tell you, hey, which user are you? Let me see if I can get some good. So which user are you? Are you Hector? Are you Steve? So I'm going to pick the picker. All right. So, and then it's going to tell you all the sales orders you go, all the sales orders that are pending for that picker to bring in. So we have sales order 706, sorry, 708, and 710. So I can pick whichever order it is. And then this, again, this is the picker. And the picker is now being instructed to pick that product, the trident, that it actually tells you the bin location and the quantity that you need to pick. So that person will then click on that order, and then it tells you, okay, how many are being picked, or how many are you picking? So this is actually really good for partial picking as well. So one thing to pay attention to is that if I don't have a barcode scanner, this actually works pretty great. The person, all they have to do is click on the, hit plus, whatever it happens to be. Okay, hit plus, and it will tell you exactly how many are being picked. Now, the alternative would be to actually grab the product, whatever the product happens to be, and scan it. Okay, so every time you scan it, hopefully you can see the scanning process here. Okay, so every time you scan it, the quantity picked is going to now be updated. So every time you scan it, so you either hit the plus sign or minus sign by hand, or you physically scan it for this to work. So once that's done, then the person just finishes and clicks on the pick button. Okay, and then it tells you, hey, are you sure this is being short picked? That's what it says there. It's being short picked. That means that you don't have completed the picking process, and for whatever reason, let's say that there's only 7 there. I mean, that's the most I can pick. So then that person is going to hit yes. Okay, and then they can actually add a note. So there's a little note button here on the right hand side where they can add a note. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, and there's a place to add a note, and I'll just basically type in the note. So I can say there was only 3, and this is like the typical stuff that happens in a warehouse, right? QuickBooks inventory is accurate. It's inaccurate for that matter. Let me see. I'm just finishing typing here. There is only 7 left. Okay, so I put my note there. There's only 7 left, whatever the note happens to be. And then I'm gonna finish it and click on pick and complete the process. So this is what you call a partial pick. It actually lets the user know that this is a partial pick, and it's actually warning you that the quantities are not completed. So I'm gonna click on continue, and then it says syncing data, and then it says good job, you can go back to work, whatever it happens to be, and then that's it. So this is what happens on the warehouse side. So let me jump into QuickBooks now. And then I have to click this refresh button. Again, it's getting the information from the internet. It's updating from the internet. So I actually have to click on the refresh button, and then it actually tells me all the statuses. So now you see that that order, it's been partially picked. It actually tells you there's partially picked, and then there is a place for a note. And then I can click on the note, and it actually tells me exactly what the notes are. It tells you the notes you sent to the picker, and then the notes that they're sending back to you. And at that point, you may have to call the customer and say, hey, I don't have them, or make inventory adjustments, or whatever it is that you have to do to make sure your QuickBooks inventories are accurate, to make sure that we don't run into this problem later on. So I'm going to click here where it says update the sales order, and that's now going to send the new status to that sales order, letting people know that the picking process has been complete. Now this is still partially picked, so this product is still open for partial picking, but I'm gonna go ahead and open up the sales order just so you can see what that looks like. So the current status for the sales order is sent for picking. So we haven't fully completed this order, although one of the items have been partially picked. So this actually tells you the update there. Okay, we have partially picked 8, so it lets you know that there's still 2 more to be picked. At this point, you may want to save that for later, or tell the customer, hey, I can't deliver all of them. I can only deliver 8, and then change the sales order, or leave it there, and then when more come in, you ship it later. So let's say, for example, for whatever reason, I'm going to change that to 8, and then click on save. Okay. That way, basically I let the client know that I am not sending anymore, and then the status goes to picked. That means that this has been either shipped or put in a stage somewhere for it to be ready to be shipped. So let me do save and close. I'll do one more example just so we can complete the process here. So I'm still gonna remember we still have a couple of products left. So I'm gonna switch over to the other picker, to Hector, and then you notice that Hector also has part of that box that needs to be shipped. So let me go on to the Android device as well. As a matter of fact, let me do one more polling question before the webinar ends. Make sure we have all of our polling questions for our CPE folks. Actually, this is a penultimate one. So have you worked with QuickBooks Desktop 2018 already? Okay, it gives me a second to drink some water and also go through the questions. Let's see. Okay. Somebody says, what happens if, okay, it's a lot number question, really good question. What happens if the lot number that was requested on the pick, it's not available and it's a different lot number that is being picked? Can they pick it anyway and update the lot number? So the answer is no, you cannot update the lot number. The picker cannot update the lot number, but they can add a note that is a different lot number, and they can write the new lot number, and the person that has access to sales orders or invoices is the one that ultimately can change that. Okay, somebody says, so do you absolutely need to have a barcode scanner for this process to work? So the answer is no. Like I said, you can just press the buttons manually, you know, to tell it how many you're picking. Okay, is there a default bin location and default warehouse and the inventory master data? The answer is no. So if you have a product that has used only one bin location, that's the one that's going to show up on the drop-down list, but you still have to select it. If the quantity received is very large, is it necessary to scan as many items as the quantity? So the answer is no. You can scan it if it's only a few, but if it's like 300 and you're counting them by hand, just type in the number manually. You don't have to scan all 300 of them. When you scan items, what if there's one or more items in the purchase order, such as 3 different inventory items? Do you have to go to the next line? So the answer is yes. We have to, you know, receive or pick one, complete it, go to the other one, pick one. So you actually have to click item by item as you go through the process. You can't just scan at random. Let's see. Your webcam's still on. Okay, that's fine. I don't mind. You can make it smaller for now. What if is there a way to select multiple bin locations at the same time? No, you actually have to pick. You have to choose different line items, and each line item goes to a different bin location. Let's see. What's the name of the Android device app? Okay, it's not on the App Store. Actually, it's called. I'm not sure if it's on the App Store or if you had to download it by hand by plugging in the computer. I did it by plugging it into my computer, but it's called QuickBooks Desktop Warehouse Management. That's what it's called. QuickBooks Desktop Warehouse Management. Once the order is sent for picking, is there anywhere to see who has that order? So it says who's the picker, but that's all it says. I mean, I'm not sure who has that order mean. Let's see. Shouldn't the picker be only available on location? So Scott, great question. So the software right now allows any picker to log in from any device. I assume that Intuit received our feedback to say, hey, by the way, the picker should be limited to a specific location. But there are cases, we have one client that has a picker that actually drives to both locations, like, you know, Fridays and Thursday goes to one and Wednesday and Tuesday goes to the other, and then they had a specific use case. Steve asking, what is the difference between picked and complete? So complete means that there's no more outstanding process on the picked side. That's really what it means. That the sales order has been updated. That's what it means. Can you do multiple due dates on different line items of the same sales order? The answer is no. You can have one due date for the entire sales order. Kevin saying, I'm looking at the price of the MC40 and it's more like $1,500 to $1,700. Well, it's possible that because of the new QuickBooks Enterprise, people are now looking at the equipment. So this is not an Intuit equipment at all. This is completely a third-party product. Okay. All right, perfect. So we'll do one more time real quick just to kind of show you, and we'll wrap it up. there's a lot of questions here. I wish I could answer them all. Keep my email handy. This is a brand new program. I'm testing it as I go. I don't have all the answers. This is powerful and buggy at the same time. Just like everything that Intuit releases for the first time, it does need some users to give some feedback. I'm gonna log in here, and I picked a completely different sales order 7007. I'm gonna pick the item I want to pick. I'm gonna manually click 11111. Again, I don't have to use the barcode scanning feature. I'm manually clicking one by one. It gives me a warning if I overpick. You see that little red sign that says, hey, by the way, that's a lot more than what the actual order is calling for. So you're overpicking at this point, right? So at this point, I can decide whether that's correct or not. And then I'll click on pick, and I can select the other product. And again, I can combine it with the barcode scanning, right? So I can scan instead of putting 1. So that's a completely, I'm using gum as an example. So I can either, again, put it by hand or scan it, and then click on continue, complete. And then when I go back into QuickBooks, I can hit refresh, and then I'm going to see my new products that, like, this one has been partially picked, whatever it is. And I click, always remember to click on update sales order. That way, when you go into your sales order, you actually can see the status of, which product has been picked, which product has been partially picked, which one has been sent for pick, and all that status will be on the sales order itself. So that's it. That's as much as I can cover for this feature. This is actually not an easy thing to demonstrate, especially with the whole, using a webcam in combination and showing the hardware. So I did my best to give you the best possible look and feel of what this looks like. And I've been testing this since the 1st of September or so. So I've only been using it for 3 weeks. I suspect that as I use it a little bit more and they add some of the enhancements, it will get better and better. Now, if you are a reseller, obviously you know where to go and to purchase a product. But if you're not a reseller and you want to purchase QuickBooks Enterprise for yourself or for your clients, Intuit told me I can give you what's called a back pocket discount. If anyone calls Intuit to purchase QuickBooks Enterprise, they're going to offer them the promo price, which is like 40 or 50% off list. But then the next year, because it's an annual subscription, jumps up to regular price. So if you actually mention that you want the back pocket deal, you will get 20% off for the life of the subscription for 1 to 10 users, or 12.5% off for the life of the subscription for the 30 user. And the promo ends at the end of the month. There's the phone number. This is a dedicated QuickBooks Enterprise support team, and they did it just for, not just for this webinar, but for accountants that are getting into enterprise consulting or upgrading enterprise for their own practice. So there's the direct number, 1-888-236-9501. That's through QuickBooks, that's through Intuit directly. Now I'm going to run the last polling question here. So if you're interested on getting an email from one of their enterprise experts or sales reps on the pricing information or the feature details, just say yes, and you're opting in, and they're gonna just shoot you an email, and you'll have a contact person over there that can help you with all the enterprise related questions. Somebody else is asking while I do this. Somebody else is asking, can you buy a used barcode scanner or refurbished? I would say yes, but remember, their barcode scanner is different than the mobile app with the barcode built in. They're two entirely different things. Like don't confuse the two. They're two different. They work simultaneously. They work in tandem, but they're completely different. Let's see. There's a lot more questions here. I apologize that maybe I didn't answer all of them. Let's see. Does a let internal purchasing know what they have to purchase to fulfill more orders? So Lilani, I'm not sure if I understand your question. So there's different reports inside QuickBooks that allows you to know what items are unavailable or they're under the the reorder point, but this specific product or feature is focused on the picking process only. So this is only for picking process. Does the sales order get updated automatically, or I have to click on update all? For now, you have to update each sales order. I assume that Intuit heard our feedback to say, hey, this should be updating every 5 minutes or so automatically. So I really don't know if there's going to be a better solution later on. Let's see. What's the difference? What is the difference between using a phone to scan and using the additional scanner? So remember, the regular Android device doesn't scan. It just allows you to put how many products you're picking. You need the one that has a built-in scanner for that. So I wonder if I answered that correctly. Okay, all right. So that may be all the questions. Or somebody says it may be a pricing issue, but can you utilize scanning for one company, or is it only for enterprise software? So I don't know if the MC40 works for other scanning software. I am going to assume that it does, because that's actually a generic product that could work for different software, but you have to develop an app for it that can communicate with the software. Okay, let me stop the polling question and then talk about the last couple of slides here. So anyway, thank you for attending. That's it for the presentation. We would like to thank our sponsors. Intuit, by the way, sponsored this particular episode. This is why we gave out the phone number at the end. Normally we don't really do that much commercial plugging, but Intuit was gracious enough to send me the scanner, which is amazing. I think I have to give it back. I don't want to though, for the demonstration. And I was a beta tester, so I was able to use this new app or this new application early in the process. Anyway, we want to thank our regular sponsors: T-Sheets, #1 rated app in apps.com. Create, manage, and approve timesheets from any device, tsheets.com. If you're a pro advisor, you get a free account for your own practice. Aero Workflow, the only workflow manager created by pro advisors for pro advisors, and it integrates with QuickBooks Online. Check them out, aeroworkflow.com. And HubDoc, the most popular document aggregator for QuickBooks Power users. Basically, it means it logs into your banks and credit cards, downloads all the statements, downloads all the check images, deposit images for you. Check them out, hubdoc.com, and hubdoc.com/QBPowerHour gets you a free account for your practice. You can't beat free. So in 2 weeks, the next episode will be hidden features and lesser known QuickBooks Online tips and tricks, which will be an ACE course. So this would be eligible for ACE. And then in 2 weeks after October 19th, we will also have an ACE course. The topic is to be determined. We will have 2 episodes in November 2nd and November 30th. Remember that in the middle of November, there's 2 big conferences that Michelle and I are going to, the Art of Value and QB Connect, so there will be nothing there. And then we'll do top apps of 2017 on December 14th. And then we'll resume back January 4th, hopefully not on vacation by that time. I come back the 3rd or so, and then we'll talk about end of the year payroll for QuickBooks. Anyway, thank you very much for attending. Join our Facebook group, continue the discussion, and also join Michelle's Successful QuickBooks Consultant LinkedIn group as well. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.